Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of Hello Crypto, where we educate you about what is happening in the space. And, I think we need to talk. We need to talk about what is happening with Ethereum. We need to talk about what is happening to Bitcoin and where we are in this market, because this market is awfully starting to look like the 2022 bear market. And I want to show you why, because it's really important to understand where we came from, what we've did in the past, and what we can learn from that, because it helps us position better trades. It helps us position better to buy at the right moment. And I think we've seen a lot of different people, saying like, hey, we're probably going to have a relief rally really soon. And to be honest, up until now, I haven't been an advocate of that. I haven't seen anything in the market that tells me like we're gonna have a relief rally. And every time that I think that we're gonna have one, that is the moment where I start looking at the data and I'm like, guys, what is happening here? So let me add myself into the screen so you guys can see me a little bit better. It's always good to have a little bit of this personal vibe here. So here we go. So what I wanted to point out to you guys today is like, if you really look at all the mechanics in the market and you look at what is happening, then you can definitely see like we're on a downtrend, right? We saw it with Bitcoin is still going down. We broke that 65K level. We see ETH break that 2K 1950 level that has been hovering around quite a long time. You can see on the 90 days how much losses all the projects are taking in. Everybody's down 40, 50%, on average. And what you really see is weakness in the market, extreme fear, again, fear and greed for God knows how many days. We are still on the RSI, we're oversold. There's, of course, no altcoin season. And if you really dive into this, look at the amount of time that we are actually spending in this extreme fear phase. And, it has been going on for quite a while now. So it's really interesting to see how quickly we can get out of this, because each and every time we get out of this, we get like a good momentum up there. But it's definitely clear that there is something broken in the market. And as I said to you guys before, I like skim down like the entire E chart. I can show you a lot more where I think the bottom is going to be and what is going to happen. But I was answering a couple of questions from some community members, and they said, when is the relief ready? Because we still have some tokens. We might want to exit. We want to sell it a little bit higher and then buy back on the way down. So we call it a dollar cost average into a better position for my token. So, and what you now see basically here is like, I was looking at like, okay, when is this relief rally actually going to happen? And I am going to show you guys a little bit more. So what I've been doing is a lot of TA on ETH, because I'm actually pretty bullish on ETH. And the reason why I'm really bullish on ETH is that everything that is being tokenized, vast majority of the stable coins, it is all being built on Ethereum. And it doesn't take a genius to think about like, what is going to be traction, right? AI is going to come in. What are they going to use? They're not going to use Bitcoin. They're going to use stable coins, or they're going to use another form of currency that is very liquid and they can work around, that they can predict. Of course, they might, run some stuff on Bitcoin or buy it up, or, really get some momentum there. But Ethereum is going to be used. What if Wall Street is going to tokenize all the different assets? They're going to tokenize on Ethereum. They're building on Ethereum. They've built on Ethereum, right? So you really can see the adoption there. And basically what I've done is I started looking, and let me get rid of this because this is the most confusing thing ever. What I've basically done is said, okay, where are we in the cycle? And if you really look at, we had this all-time high here back in August, even, right, even longer ago than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin only topped out here in this point of time. So the all-time high for Ethereum was earlier. It's always earlier. Ethereum is always earlier than Bitcoin, and it also bottoms earlier. So what I've done is basically said, okay, if you look at the previous cycles, and I'm a guy that says like, if it isn't broken, why don't you fix it, right? So if Bitcoin is a mechanical or technical thing, it works in patterns, and the patterns are not only technical, it's also liquidity cycles, everything at the same time. So it kind of like repeats itself. And the funny thing is it repeats itself by the day on, a 4-year cycle on Bitcoin at the all-time high. So if you then start looking at Ethereum and you're like, hey, let's just repeat the cycle, then you get this. And this is what I want to show you guys is You basically, from the all-time high until the moment ETH sets an all-time low, you basically have 220 days. 220 days of bear market where the price just goes down. And that also means that then there is a period based on previous cycles, about 70 days, where it makes it all-time low, right? So in that period, in the previous cycles, it has made its all-time low in that period. So from the starting point where it had its low in 2022, and then 70 days plus. So that brings us in that period that we all know is like a bear territorium. It's like April to May. Taxes are being paid. People are, summer is coming. People are losing interest. A lot of stuff is happening, and you definitely see always that there is a bear. So you see this period coming in front of you, and then there is also always a period of about 140 days where actually ETH already starts running, whilst BTC is still making lower lows. You can see that in previous cycles. It's like, I actually don't have it in the chart here, but I compared it in other charts, and you can do the TA, and we'll cover it in another video. But basically, there's this period where ETH basically outperforms BTC for a short period, but it's really interesting. Now, the question that I got from a community members like, Sander, when is the relief rally? When is the relief rally from, well, where are we at now? 1825. Where's the relief rally up to like maybe this trend line here? So when do we go to $2,400? When do we go to $2,500? And everything in my head, like technical analyst says, well, it's bound to happen. It needs to happen. It needs to be there. It needs to come really soon. But the problem is when I start comparing other cycles, it's not there. And that is a problem. So let me show you guys. So this is where I started off at. Let me delete this. So if you look at the 2021 cycle, with an all-time high here, it went down. It touched the trend line. It went down, went sideways, touched the trend line, got rejected, and went down with a couple of like moments where it basically laid a basis. If you look at it right now, we have an all-time high. We have an all-time high. Let me mark this up. It's like super obvious when you look at it. We have an all-time high. We have an all-time high. We wick it once. We wick it once. We go down. We have a small wick to the upside. We go down. We have a small wick to the upside. We go down more. We have one wick up, one wick down, one wick up to touch. We go down. We have one wick up. We go down. We have one wick up. We touch it again. And then it just like crashes, goes sideways, and it crashes again. Now, what are we doing now? We're crashing. We're going sideways. I'm not sure what you guys are thinking, but if history repeats, we're going to go down. And the other thing is what is really interesting and for me, bluntly, also very annoying. Like, look at this range. Like, Ethereum has basically been doing this. So where is it going now? I'm not sure it's going to go here because there's too much adoption and institutionalization. But I do think that like around this like 1450, 1500, that's where the bottom can be. So each and every time people ask me like, hey, Sandra, when is the relief rally? I'm like, okay, well, there must be a relief rally, right? It makes a lot of sense, but it never comes. And even in a and it's a bad comparison, but even in a bull market like in 2024, it goes down, it comes up, it goes down, it touches the trim line, it goes down, goes sideways, and it goes down again. And this is a bull market. Here it does this. It goes up, touches trim line, goes down, touches trim mark, and boom, goes down. It's the same here as we just said, right? It always does this. It's always the same. It's just a problem. Only you didn't see it here because it was a bull market. Now we're in a bear market. But the definition is, are we really in a bear, like here? Or are we in a kind of a bear? It's definitely a bear, but there is a lot of like momentum behind it. So personally, I don't think we're gonna go to this 840 level. I don't think we will really revisit and ping between this trend line. I do think that the rock bottom right now, and you guys can see that it's like $1,200. But we have a very exciting time in front of us. Actually, we haven't put till end of May to really see what is going to happen. So really interesting time, guys. Exciting. Can we still have a relief rally? Technically, there's time. Has history proven that there always is a relief rally? No, it actually proves that there is never a relief rally. So, yeah, guys, I hope you have something, with this content. I hope, it brings you some insights. This is how I'm looking at the market. I've been, positioned in stable coins since, God knows, since November or something like that, and a little bit in January, by the way. I still hold Bitcoin in my HODL wallet, so I'm biting the dust with you guys as well. I'm feeling the pain, but something says to me that the real bottom is not in, and I also think that like for the next 3 to 4 months, it isn't going to be really exciting in this space. And another reason why I'm telling this is because we, as Hello, we've developed a lot of different DeFi pools, and we're making money from just simply putting our ETH and USDT in different types of pools. And I will share it with you because it's actually really interesting and one of the most under-recognized things in the space. So, I share my screen here. You can definitely see like there are all kinds of different pools here, and we basically deployed some basic TVL with tests running it. It is working excellent, and a lot of people just don't have that mindset set to that. And let me put myself in the screen as well, so you guys can again see me. But basically, what we've been doing here is adding liquidity to an ETH USDT pair with a small fee tier size in there. And basically what it does, we just deploy like 20K, 22K in this pool. But basically the volume that is going through this is about 13K at this moment in time, it goes up and down. And I've opened up it here. So you can definitely like see, okay, what is actually happening here, right? So the current liquidity is 18K. Initially, we also deployed like 18K. But in the meanwhile, we've made about $300. And as you guys can see, we currently have unclaimed fees. 0.07 ETH. Well, that's cheap ETH, right? It's for free. We're doing nothing. And about $132. And about a week ago, we already once, collected some fees on this. So we already collected like $83. So in the span of 2 weeks' time, deploying about $18,000, we've made more than $350, which is a 1% gain. A 1% gain in about 2 weeks' time. It can be a little bit quicker. So that means that we're doing a 50% APR, and you can see it here, 45% APR. And the cool thing is this is available to everyone. So if you're interested in this, let us know. The cool thing is everybody that is holding the Hello token is also being rewarded for deploying these LPs, because a part of the fee tier that we're spending, we're buying back the Hello tokens from the market. And believe me, you can already see that in the chart. So yeah, this is definitely one of the cool things. I really believe that the industry is going this direction. You're making money while you're doing nothing. You do need to manage your fee tiers, but it's really interesting, and we educate you about all of that stuff. So yeah, going back to this chart, guys, I don't think the bottom is in. There is still a lot of movement here, but in the meantime, we're making some fees with the DeFi protocols. Yeah, that's it for me. I hope this helps, and speak to you next time. Cheers.